Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast shorts. There's no co-host on these shorts episodes. These are now around 2 to 4 minute, sometimes as long as 6 to 10 minute observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and even the theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for now around 2 to 4 minutes is still better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Even that business book your coworker won't stop raving about because it quote-unquote changed their life, but you can't see any difference in their leadership behavior. So how good could that author be?
Chairman Mao Zedong, founder of the Chinese Communist Party, revolutionary, and the man who killed more people in the 20th century via starvation, famine, gulags, and war than anyone else, even Stalin, once opined that, and I quote, political power comes out of the barrel of a gun. The fact is, leadership comes in all forms, and the positive and negative effects of leadership that lead to counter-revolutionary efforts on the part of people resisting the programmatic nature of tyranny and totalitarianism come primarily from principles. But just as we saw when we studied the book All Quiet on the Western Front, we see that tyranny and totalitarianism inevitably comes about when principled leadership fails to take a stand. Those gun barrels are typically turned on the principled people first when bribery, corruption, blackmail, and other forms of intimidation fail to produce the appropriate level of compliance and moral flexibility. The gun barrels, the gulags, the work camps, and the struggle sessions are always involved at the end of resistance to tyranny and totalitarianism. And if the principled people can't get emotionally right with this idea, then they will be surprised when these things and circumstances manifest in the clearing at the end of the path of resistance. Certain people understand this, and the people who understand this best are usually in the thrall to evil itself. Monsters don't need permission to act monstrously or to become more of the monsters they already are. They just need space to fully engage with all their monstrous tendencies and monstrous appetites. Principled people must learn to stare evil in the face and recognize it for what it is, and not to become corrupted by the evil that they see. Principled leaders stare into the abyss and refuse to allow the abyss to look back through them. Principled leaders aren't interested in politics, power, or position except as tools to advance more principles. They aren't interested in controlling others or controlling circumstances, except as a setup to advance more principles. Principled leaders are not necessarily moral paradigms, nor do they exist at the dizzying heights of moral virtue. Many of them can't pass a moral purity test. They have their flaws and their sins. However, two things can be true at the same time, and principled leaders are interested in leading others to a higher vision, doing it, of course, with principle, and when a bullet comes out of the barrel of a gun, as it always inevitably will, they are okay with that bullet finding them rather than their followers. To fight Chairman Mao, and folks like Chairman Mao, you have to be willing to die. Leaders, keep your eyes open and keep your principles clear. And well, that's it for me.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast today. And now that you've made it this far, you should subscribe to the audio version of this show on all the major podcast players, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube Music, and everywhere else where podcasts are available. There's also a video version of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to the video version of this podcast on the Leadership Toolbox channel on YouTube. Just search for Leadership Toolbox and hit the subscribe button there on YouTube. And while you're doing that, leave a 5-star review if you like what we're doing here on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Just go below the player and hit 5 stars. We need those reviews to grow, and it's the easiest way to help grow this show. And tell all your friends, of course, in leadership. By the way, if you don't like what we're doing here, well, you can always listen to another leadership show. There are several other good ones out there. At least that's what I've heard. All right. Well, that's it for me.